criminal predatory violence. People that are looking for an easy victim to rob, harm, take away, or even molest. These individuals will hide in plain sight because each one of these people have different agendas. The social violence agenda is completely different. This is to do with ego battles. Criminal violence is a targeted, much more nefarious affair. The person's really looking for a victim. But this is really about understanding and navigating your environment and observing people and understanding the way that they move, the way that they stand, the way that they look at you. It can actually give you some indication of whether they're going to be a credible risk or a danger to you. So keep watching. Picture this, you're walking down the road and there's a guy ahead of you who's leaning against the wall in a shadowed corner of a building. So he's trying to look like he's just hanging out, so it's not a baseline behaviour for the environment. Bear in mind that person could be masking their behaviour by pretending to be looking at a phone. You've also got to be aware that they might be using decoys as well. Late at night, poorly lit area, someone that's an offender looking to commit a crime, they're more likely obviously try to hide their head or their hoods up. This is the problem with stereotypes. People start to stereotype what a bad guy should look like. He's going to wear baggy pants, hooded sweatshirt, baseball cap. That's going to be the profile of the bad guy. That's not necessarily the case statistically. Someone that has criminal intent will have a very subtle body language. They do want to blend into the environment. They would be dressed with clothes that would be obviously non-reflective of light. They may be standing in a corner of a street that has very poor lighting, but if they've got dark clothes, then it's very hard for them to pick out. Usually we call it the grey man syndrome. Grey man is where you are trying to blend in with the environment and the people around you to the degree that you move and dress even the same as the people around you, blending into the environment physically as well, because obviously selection of clothes means that they don't stand out. They more likely will be standing in plain sight around you, observing you, but they're not going to make themselves as obvious because they essentially want to observe you without you seeing them observing you. And this is why you have to observe behavior. Behavior and body language will be the main indicators with these people of whether they're going to be a likely threat or danger to you when you're walking down the street. When alcohol's involved, you'll get greater levels of territorial displays. Territorial displays are where young men will essentially be much more expansive with their space. If they're easily triggered, they're more likely to make eye contact. Interestingly, the opposite behaviour is if you see someone who's actually standing with their legs crossed. If they're standing with their legs crossed, they're actually less of a risk to you. I'm always looking for whether someone's in a ready stance, primed and ready to go. You've attracted their attention, so then what they do is they put themselves in a ready position to see if you're worth further investigating. The change from being static, observational to ready would be a behaviour. In comparison to someone that is, for example, just come out of a bar, he's going to be much more agitated. He's going to be pacing a little bit more, displaying those territorial displays of wide arms, wide legs. You're going to see there's much more agitation in their movement. Having said that, you could also have someone that's standing in the shadows in a ready stance. And in a ready stance is that they're quick to move, they're quick to go, quick to intercept you. They're alert with their body language, in other words. You can pick that up. So the defining factor would be how they're dressed, where they're standing in the environment. In other words, is it at a choke point where you have to pass by them? Is it an area where it's dimly lit, where it's hard to see? And are they in a ready stance? If it's a dark night and someone draws their phone out, they're going to throw light onto themselves, which will actually expose them, which is the opposite. So that in itself is actually some indication that the person is less of a risk to me. So the takeaway is that to understand the risks and the threats around you, you have to look at three general categories: how they dress, the way they behave, and their body language. These three categories interrelate to give you some indication of the potential risks against you. It's well worth paying attention to these because it can make a difference, especially in busy city centres, late at night, at stupid times when you're surrounded by stupid people. Thanks for watching.